Hello, everybody. This is Fernando for the latest Gruesome and Grotesque video. As always, I just do these videos randomly when I come across something that I read online, either through my Google News app or, as was in this case, through an article that I saw on Reddit. What's interesting is that this happened more than 10 years ago, but again, to this day, it seems that people are still talking about it. Obviously, it was featured there, and now here I am showcasing it within this playlist. But this is by far one of the most gruesome ways that someone was killed, and you'll know why more here in a minute, why I just had to feature it within this channel. And on top of that, there's going to be a quote given by one of the authorities, and I wholeheartedly believe their statement that it was one of the most absolutely just grotesque ways that somebody was killed. But you're looking at a picture of this man now, this poor man, and what happened to him. His name was Jose Melena, and he was basically cooked alive within a giant pressure cooker. So I'm going to showcase all the details associated with what happened, and through the passage of time, you'll see that what the ramifications were of this horrible accident afterwards. But let's go ahead and let's talk about that here. For starters, you have to go back again more than 10 years. Specifically, it's dawn of October 11th, 2012. You have to go to Santa Fe, and then there, apparently, there's a Santa Fe Springs plant that is dedicated to Bumble Bee Foods. These are those cans that you find everywhere from a grocery store, those cans of tuna. I haven't eaten tuna in like years, so I don't know if I can't recall if I ever ate some bumblebee ones, but otherwise I'm sure that many people that are seeing this video right now know essentially that they've eaten that as well. So give you an idea essentially of what happened on that fateful day. This man, Jose Melena, was working there early dawn. Apparently he had been there about 6 years. He was there. A lot of other employees were there as well. It gave me the impression that this was a plant that was operating, if not 24 hours, at least a good number of hours of the day. And I've read two different versions. It all started with either A, he was doing maintenance within what you're looking at here, which is one of those gigantic pressure cookers. This is the kind that apparently has just hundreds and hundreds of cans. In fact, it's 12,000 pounds of canned tuna that is placed inside, and then it gets turned on, and then it starts cooking everything within it. So he was either doing maintenance within it, or I read in another one that he himself was loading some of those cans within the actual gigantic pressure cooker itself. I don't know which one is the correct one, but either way, though, it led to him being inside the actual device when everything went horribly, horribly wrong. It turns out that inside this 35-foot long oven, it gives you an idea essentially of how huge this thing is. Inside it, while he was basically hidden from everyone else, one of the other co-workers apparently had believed that Jose Melena was actually in the bathroom. And so when that happened, he in turn decided to turn on the oven, shove 12,000 pounds again of canned tuna within the pressure cooker, and then like straight out of a horror movie, while Jose Melena was probably just realizing the situation, or it happened so quickly he didn't even have a chance to scream or do anything else. The pressure cooker was closed, and then it was turned on. So if you can imagine again how a pressure cooker works, it essentially uses steam and within a closed vicinity to start heating things up. If you want to know how horribly wrong and how horribly gruesome this story is, it took a while, but eventually the temperature reached 270 degrees within that giant pressure cooker. Can you imagine something along those lines? Here's this poor man in a very claustrophobic place, 12,000 pounds of canned tuna just completely surrounding him, probably immobile as well because of it. And again, in complete darkness, no less, just a suffocating situation along with complete darkness. And it's getting hotter and hotter. And there's nothing you can do. Somebody let me know too if some of these are turned on, obviously considering the size and then considering the pressure that's happening, if there's a lot of noise. Like, in other words, if he was screaming his head off, if there's any chance anybody would have heard him, or do I get the impression that around these very gigantic machines, that the noise is so loud that's generated from them that nobody would have able to have heard him. But he basically stayed there the entire time. So he was cooked alive. He was cooked alive within that pressure cooker, 270 degrees, along with all the other cans of tuna that were there, and nobody was the wiser. Now, when I was reading this information, I got the impression that none of this was done obviously on purpose. I don't get the impression at all that anybody knew he was in there, that anybody just decided to kill this man. No, it was just 100% completely by accident. The way it was found out that he was in there was actually by pure happen chance. It was noticed that Jose Melena ended up being missing. I'm guessing on that day later on when the shift ended, and then when he wasn't around, people were wondering what happened, where did he go? And so an announcement was made on the intercom about his missing status. Employees started searching through the entire big facility and then even going out into the parking lot. I'm pretty sure they were looking at cameras as well to see if something showcased him walking out or having something else happen to him that caused him to leave. But no, according to a report by the California Division of Occupational Safety and Health, his body was actually found within the pressure cooker 2 hours after it was turned off. So I got the impression on that part that once the machine went through its cycle and then it was essentially turned off with those cans of tuna within it, then that's when people realized, hey, did anybody check the inside? And I'm sure they did. And then that's when they saw, to their horror, everything that's straight out of a very, very just nightmare movie. So once that occurred, they obviously found him inside. He was long dead at that point. The plant itself ended up shutting down for 3 days in remembrance of him. On top of that, there was a huge implementation of some safety plans that were there as well. Apparently, there was a multi-million-dollar level done to add more safety guidelines and making sure that these machines have some kind of method for this to not happen again, either for someone to be in there by accident or for someone to have something to alert people, hey, somebody's inside, like if they're inside the actual machine itself, and then that way it stops it there. There was also apparently several people that were going to be faced with either prison or very large fines because of what occurred. Apparently, the authorities were realizing that this was something else, that there could have been some negligence on there. And so those people that were there, that were being held to that standard or held to that judicial standard, ended up being, I believe it was the operations director and then a safety manager. They were charged with 3 counts of violating the Occupational Safety and Health Administration rules, which led to poor Jose's death. And so, long story short, after all these years, what ended up happening is they got parole, and then they ended up getting fines as well. This was used to like, it could have been where they could have been in jail, but this was used as a way to at least have some punishment of some sort given to them. And then when that happened, they were able to avoid at least those long periods. According to one article, I think it could have been several years that they could have spent in jail and have several $100,000 in fines, but it was far, far less. And then as far as the company itself, the company, besides doing all those multi-million-dollar upgrades associated with the plant and making sure nothing like that could happen again, they ended up doing a $1.5 million settlement with the family, and this was under a term that allows the family to also sue the company afterward and continue to receive workers' compensation claims on behalf of Jose. So in other words, even though Jose Melena was obviously met just a horrific fate, his family was able to have this settlement there to at least have, again, a punishment associated with the company, with Bumble Bee Foods. And it looks like, I don't know if they ended up still suing the company afterward or receiving compensation funds, but they had the liberty to do so. So once all that happens, to this day, again, this is one of the most gruesome ways that I've read that somebody was essentially killed in a workplace accident. To be able to be in that safety and that pressure cooker and not have anything, like in other words, in terms of safety to prevent them from doing so, everything just went horribly wrong with someone else thinking that they were outside or elsewhere and then turning it on after shoving all those thousands of cans of tuna within it, and then him just being either slowly or quickly cooked to death in that claustrophobic, pitch black environment. Just absolutely just horrible, horrible way to go. So my condolences to Mr. Jose Melena, who you've seen pictures here. He looked like a good family man, just smiling and so on, just there in his workplace, just trying to get by on that whatever hour shift, and then it ended up being the most horrible way for him to be killed. But if anybody has any more info, maybe on a local level, again, this is a little bit older, about 10 plus years. Let me know though if anyone has more info there as far as what happened to the family afterwards or anything else that I might have missed. And please post those comments below. All right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.